There is kind of a knack to flush casting. Greetings everybody, welcome down to the prop shop. I'm Builderan. I've been making a lot of molds lately and I want to share with you how to do some slush casting. You guys have probably heard this term thrown around a whole bunch. Roto casting, slush casting, sloshed casting. If you're a fan of Mr. Volpin props, you can go check out his video all about slush casting right here. You should definitely go check that one out. But last week we made a brush on mold. Usually this is for helmets or masks. And those helmets and masks, of course, need to be hollow so that you can put your face in it, put your head in it. And of course, I'm gonna show you how to do that. But first, you should go check out the slush casting video. It's really great. I like it an awful lot. And it shows you how we made all of these molds right here that we will be slush casting in. Slush casting can be done really with any mold that you made. It doesn't have to be a brush on mold, but it just goes well hand in hand. So we'll be showing you this Dragon Priest mask. Now, before you get started, you wanna put some mold release in your mold. I like baby powder. I'll just dust the surface with it and then use some air to blast all the extra out. Now, there are lots of different resins that you can use for slush casting, though there are some that I prefer. Smoothcast 65D is really good. It's designed for roto casting. That's what we used on this mask right here. We just tinted it with a little bit of brown tint, mixed it up, poured it in the mold, and then slushed it around on the inside. And we did that for the first couple of layers. You could also do something similar with Smoothcast 300, one of my favorites. It has a little bit of a lower viscosity and does a really good job of capturing all of the surface detail in your mold. Now with slush casting, you put in several layers, and in fact, you can put in several different types of urethane resin. So I will frequently do a couple passes of 300 and then back it up with 65D or Smoothcast Onyx, which are both really great for roto casting. First, you want to mix up a little bit of your resin. If you're going to tint it any colors, this is when you would do it. Mix up that resin, you just pour it into your mold and then do the slush cast dance. Dance around and try and get the resin to coat all of the surfaces on the inside. Now, if this pass doesn't cover every single surface, it's not the end of the world. You're gonna be putting in multiple layers anyway, so don't worry about it. Just go in, coat the surface the best that you can, and then keep the resin moving. You don't want it to pool in any one area. Basically, you're playing Marble Madness right here and just getting a pool of resin to coat the inside of your mold. Now, after about 5 minutes or so, it will eventually set up and stay on all of the vertical surfaces. Then you can mix up another batch of whatever resin you're using and do it again. Eventually you'll get into a cycle where roughly every 5 minutes you're pouring in a new layer of resin. The goal here is to get a nice, even, thick coat on the entire inside of your silicone mold. I like to aim for about 1/8 of an inch for most things like this Dragon Priest mask right here, so that it will eventually be nice and sturdy. But you can put in as many layers as you think you need. I usually shoot for 4 or 5 layers. Now there are loads of options when it comes to roto casting. Like I mentioned before, you can use a variety of different resins. You can mix and match resins in your different layers if you want. You can even add fiberglass. You can rotocast with epoxies, you can rotocast with a whole bunch of different stuff. You can brush on layers, you can add fillers. The world of slush casting is really open to a whole bunch of different techniques. The best thing you can do is give it a try and see how it works out for you, depending on the outcome you're trying to get, like this mask right here, or this mask right here. This guy is a really good example because we dusted the mold with powder beforehand, metal powder. We used brass or copper. Yeah, we used copper on this guy, dusted the mold with it, and then slush cast a bunch of resin behind it. This cold casting, as it's called, let us put a real metal finish on the outside of the mold that we can then buff up to look all shiny, and then we rusted the crap out of it for this guy right here. But you've got a whole bunch of different options. Of course, if you want to see more on cold casting, we have a video for that too. Go check that out. Right there. There it is. Once I've slushed in all of my layers, I like to let it rest for a good half hour, depending on the resin that I used. Once it is fully cured, then you can crack open your mold. For the case of this Dragon Priest mask, we had a 2-part jacket mold that's held together with bolts. So we unscrewed those and took it apart, and then we could peel away the rubber below, showing our wonderfully cast mask hiding below. And that's it. That is slush casting in a nutshell. Once you have those pieces cast, you can trim off any extra flashing you have around the edge of your piece, and you're good to go. That thing, you can put it on your face, and you're all set. I really hope you guys go out and try slush casting for yourselves. It's great because you don't use a ton of resin. Just remember, thinner resin does take longer to cure, so don't rush at it. There is a little bit of a knack to slush casting, so don't get too worried if you don't get it right away. It does take quite a lot of practice. Just be patient, try and try again, and in no time you'll be casting masks just like a pro. Thank you guys so much for checking out our videos, especially this mold making series. You guys have been asking for mold making, especially for masks and helmets a lot lately. If you're looking for a good video on helmet casting with some more advanced techniques, you can check out our hollow mask video that my wife Brittany put together a couple of months ago. That one's really, really good. You definitely want to go check that out, along with the rest of our mold making series. There's a ton of information there. If you watch it from start to finish, you'll learn just about everything you need to know to get started with mold making. And there you go, everybody. That is this week's video on mold making for your hungry eyeballs. We'll have more coming up for you guys next week. Of course, you want to subscribe if you're new. And for crying out loud, go make some molds. Get in there. It's really fun. We'll see you all next week. Bye.